Yeah, my name's Telby Black. I'm with Ace Black Ranches, one of the partners. We're here on the place in Bruneau, Idaho.
This place has been in the family since 1875, was the first one. It's kind of a different branch of the family. And then my grandpa bought this in 1967. And so we've been here, this branch of the family, since 1967. My grandpa sold it to my dad, and my dad sold it to us, and hopefully there'll be something left here to sell to these kids someday.
This all started with a fish and game manager that moved in next door. The complaints started in 2019. We started putting in irrigation pivots, and he objected to that, and so started filing complaints with the state agencies, in which he got no traction. So then he stayed after it, complaint after complaint, until he got to Army Corps of Engineers. How I found all this out was from a Freedom of Information Act. This started in 2021. On February 10th, we got a letter from Army Corps of Engineers, and they asked us a list of questions that didn't pertain to our operation at all. So I immediately called them and told them that this didn't pertain to us, what it was that they were looking for, and maybe we could work with them. And they were very hesitant. They replied, EPA will be sending us a lot more questions within a few days, and if we answered their questions, then that would answer all of Corps' questions.
Well, they sent us these questions that were, what they were is gotcha questions. If you answered yes, they got you, and if you answered no, they got you, and they didn't even pertain to us really, and so we had to get some help answering those. And then Telby covered most of that. When they showed up then with a sealed warrant and 5 U.S. Marshals heavily armed, I think it was to intimidate us is what I think it was. And it didn't intimidate me, it just made me mad that they'd even do that, you know. And so that was kind of the first deal.
So on the third day, when they were leaving, I asked them for any samples, any information they had to give us, if they found a violation of any kind. And there again, they still would not talk to us, and they said they would be in touch. Well, it was almost 2 years, a year and a half, and we had never heard from them. We could not get anything out of them. Multiple times we tried to contact them, set up a meeting, a visit, anything, and they would not respond. The second time we finally got a meeting with them, and to which they still had no violation that they could point to us in any direction, and they ended up coming back out for 5 days with 14 EPA agents. And same thing, we tried asking them the whole time, what it is are you looking for? And they would not talk to us anything about the investigation the second time either.
Well, they didn't want us even around, and I told them it's our place and we were going to be there. And so they didn't like that, and we stayed right with them and filmed everything they did. And so nobody would talk to you very much. I mean, they'd talk about the weather or something, but they wouldn't tell us anything, what they were looking for or why they were doing this. And so that part we didn't get any information. And then their answer is we can't talk to you, we got to give it to your attorney and he'll tell you. One thing that really fried me that I was very unhappy about is I wanted a map of where they were going to dig, and he said he'd give it to us, and then he didn't give it to us. And then when they were done, I said, I want a map of where you've dug, and they wouldn't give that, have to give it to your attorney, they said. And so they hid behind attorney on everything. They didn't have to talk to us. They weren't allowed to talk to us, and so they went around like to the attorney there.
Ace Black Ranches was having a lot of problems with this river, eating into the farm ground, had big tall straight up banks, had a hard time cattle getting in and out and taking up farm ground. And so there's been different occasions where they've worked with Army Corps of Engineers if they needed to do work inside the river below the ordinary high water mark. And from what I was explained is Army Corps of Engineers and Idaho Department of Water Resources was always really good to work with and would help in any way that they could and come up with a solution.
These upper pivots use about half the water that we used to use with flood irrigating. And we have lots of water on this place. We're in good shape with water rights, and that's part of being the oldest in the valley is you get the first water, you know, and so we've got good water rights and it saves on them. And then what it's supposed to do, these pivots are supposed to do, is produce more. And we're not into it far enough to really know that so much for sure. It looks like it, but we don't know for sure.
With pivot irrigations, a couple of the main benefits that we've seen is we have next to no runoff back into the river, which means all your water stayed on the ground where it needed to be. That's one benefit. The other that we've found is all the high spots and all the low spots get the same amount of water when they need it all the time. And so that's where the efficiency comes from on more production.
In this business, we solve problems every day. Every day we got a new problem, and so we deal with problems every day and we solve them. We don't shuck them or anything. We just deal with the problems. These guys tell us they got a problem. They won't tell us what it is. We can't fix it if we don't know what it is. And so that's what really irritates us. We'd like to fix this problem and we don't know what the problem is.
In the end, all we ask is that we get the chance to sit down and come up with a solution to whatever the problem may be.